Hey, happy holidays. Thanks for joining us here on Best Practice Live. Got an interesting patient to go over with you today for you to share the visit. Her name's Maureen. I actually saw her years ago, 12 or 13 years ago, for evaluation of an aneurysm, a possible aneurysm in the brain. An aneurysm is a weakness in the wall of one of the blood vessels of the brain, and that weakness can cause a little balloon to form. And then as our heart beats, it makes that balloon pulsate. These balloons sometimes are absolutely inconsequential findings. They're just a little weakness that you live with. You die of something else and you're fine. But as that balloon expands, it's like a water balloon. The more you blow it up, the thinner that wall gets. And eventually, there's a real risk that it can rupture. The risk of rupture is based on the size of that aneurysm. That's the key variable. And so it's really important to know because if these things rupture, there's a very high probability of disability or even death. In some aneurysms, the probability of disability is almost a certainty. So the stakes are very, very high, and it's important for doctors to kind of wrangle the tests that they have. And what happens a lot in these kind of situations is someone has symptoms, and this is the human brain we're talking about. So it's a complicated organ, the most complicated organ on the planet. And it can be hard to look at the imaging studies and know what the right thing to do. And then the next problem that comes up, and this is actually the problem that we're going to discuss with Maureen, is some tests are actually invasive. An angiogram is where a small catheter is placed through a needle puncture in the groin, threaded all the way up to the brain, and dye is injected to get really, really perfect images of the brain. It's one of the most accurate tests that we have, but it involves placing a catheter in the brain. And anytime you do an intervention like that, there's a tiny risk of a complication. So let's get it for Maureen. Let's try to understand. What I want you to look for is what's driving her to this question of whether or not she needs the angiogram. How does she feel about it? Because oftentimes it's our emotional state that's going to end up controlling what the right or wrong thing to do is, and what information is necessary to make the right decision. Check it out. Let's hear from Maureen. Well, what's going on, dear? First of all, I'm so glad to see you again. And in some ways, I'm sorry to see you because I understand you're having a trouble with something inside the brain. Is that right?
Yes, that basal artery, or however you pronounce it. Yes. And when I saw you originally, I saw you, I was sent by my neurology office, Foothills Neurology, Dr. Hedrick's office. Mm-hmm. And I had a test done, and actually I had a concussion. I think that's what started it all. Oh. And there was a test, and the basal artery came up as an issue. And then the next time it was not, it looked fine, and it kept going back and forth. And that's kind of the way it's been ever since I first saw you. And I remember exactly what you said to me. You said, go out and live your life and enjoy. And there seemed to be no rhyme or reason as to why sometimes it was an issue and sometimes it was not. So in August, I was having some trouble with facial pain, headache, and my vision. And I went to Chandler emergency room. And the longer I was there, the worse it became. And it got to the point when I went to sign in on the tablet, I couldn't see anything on the tablet. It was just a total blur. So that was when they decided to do the CAT scan. And the neurologist at the hospital, and I cannot pronounce his name, it's Daniel, and CAPAM. He's affiliated with, I guess, numerous hospitals. And he came out to speak to me, and he said, he asked me a lot of questions, and I told him about the artery issue previously. So he suggested I go to Barrows and have Dr. Ducray do an interventional neurosurgeon procedure to see what was wrong with the artery. My current insurance, Medicare HMO, doesn't include Barrows. So I switched to a different Medicare insurance. Apparently the only one Barrows takes, and it's a Cigna PPO, so I should be able to go there. And I checked it numerous ways. But I do know as well that, from what I've been told, that test is not exactly without problems itself. You know, that it's obviously, I don't know much about it, and a lot of people I've spoke to don't seem to know much about it. But I gather it's a little dangerous. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know, it could have its own issues. So I didn't want to go to someone I didn't know. And I always felt Barrows was a safe place to be. So, and I was looking back at my paperwork, and I always remembered you, but I looked at my paperwork and I said, you know, where is Dr. Lieberman? So
I'm right here, but I'm retired. Well, I'm so glad to see you. And can I ask you a couple clarifying questions, just things I want to understand?
Yes.
So I assume the test they're preparing you for was an angiogram, where they put a needle in the artery in the groin and thread the catheter up to the brain and then inject dye in order to see what's going on. Is that correct?
That sounds correct, but I never got like a detailed explanation, but yeah.
Okay. And what was the date of this headache and visual change and difficulty seeing, even reading the paperwork? What was that date?
August 22nd.
August 22nd, 2022.
Yes.
Okay. Have you seen a neurologist outside the hospital since that August 22nd encounter?
Yes, I still go to Foothills Neurology and I see Dr. Fechtel.
Dr. Fechtel. And what does he say about all this?
He said, we kind of went back and forth about it. And when I was able to explain to him that this had been an issue since 2010, he said, if I wanted to wait it out a little bit longer, because I couldn't go to Barrows, that he felt that would be okay, since the information was not definitive.
Right. And in the meantime, what happened to the headache and the visual problems?
I haven't had a recurrence of the visual. I always have headaches. I've had migraines forever. And so that's just an ongoing thing. I do have double vision often, not often, double vision when I'm really tired, and I don't sleep well, so I'm tired a lot. So it's really a daily situation. But it's only like when I'm working on the computer. If I'm looking at you, I don't see two of you. It's the little things that I see two of, the computer things. So so that's kind of the way it's been. The only thing I'd say that seems to be worse is I have been dizzy and off balance for a number of years. And we thought it was one of the medications I was taking, so I discontinued that. And it seems I was a little bit better, but now that dizziness it's a daily occurrence, and just intermittently, no particular reason, why it just is there. So the headaches are not much worse. They're more often, but part of the problem is I can only take Tylenol for the headaches because I'm on Eliquis, and I kind of destroyed my stomach with Advil. So I'm not allowed to take that. So Tylenol is not the best for me. May work for other people, but it's not as effective as other things. But that's where I am.
Okay,
So,
that's very helpful. I appreciate it. Well, if I can sort of rephrase where we are, just to make sure we're on the same page. So you have a history of migraine. You had a headache, but this one was atypical in August of 2022 because it involved a very significant visual change. And while migraine can involve visual change, that was unusual for you, so alarming that you went into the hospital. The hospital did a screening CT angiogram of your brain, or a screening CAT scan, and they really didn't find much. However, you do have this old issue with a possible basilar artery aneurysm or thrombosis, or some sort of a vascular pathology. And so the hospital neurologist referred you to Barrow to be evaluated by angiography, which is an invasive test that does has a 1% risk of stroke or death. So it's not like having a CT scan, but on the other hand, it's 99% chance or more of no problem. So a little bit riskier, but in the meantime, you caught up with Dr. Fechtel, your neurologist, and he said, yeah, it's no rush, but you probably should get that angiogram, or at least talk to the doctors at Barrow and see what they think.
Yes, and that was mostly because I couldn't go to Barrow to have the procedure done. I think if I had been able to have it done, the next month at Barrow, it would have been, yeah, go ahead and do it. But
yeah, so the delay was due to insurance. However, the underlying concept that you should see an endovascular specialist at Barrow was what Dr. Fechtel thought was the correct course.
Yes.
Okay. And in the meantime, you feel back to normal for you, which is still having some migraines, occasional dizziness, some other neurological things Dr. Fechtel is working on. But at the same time, this severe August episode has not recurred.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. What are you, angiography is definitely, everything with the brain is super high stakes. It's high stakes to detect something, and it's high stakes to miss something, but most of the time there's really not anything there. And I looked at your imaging. Let's see if I can pull it up. Yeah, are you seeing your imaging on the screen? Oh no, I need to share with you. Hold on a minute, dear. Yes. Hello, this is your brain.
Okay.
This is a view that goes through the middle of you. So this is the tip of your nose, and this is your mouth. And here's where your eyes would be on either side. And this is right through pretty close to the middle of your brain. And it's a good brain. Your brain is above your eyes and above your ears. Your ears would be out here. So it's a good brain. And as we go from side to side, you've got a little atrophy because you're not 17 anymore, but that's okay. And they gave you a contrast agent. So what we see lighting up here, these are the veins of the brain draining out. And we can even see some of the bigger veins and a little bit of some of the arteries. In these kind of images, the basilar artery, by the way, is this one. See this guy right here? It runs right in there, right on the surface of the pons, right up to there, and then it splits to either side. And sometimes we can actually see the splitting of the basilar artery, and sometimes we can't. And in your case, it's hard. The cut we got on the imaging didn't happen to go right through it. Let's see if we can see it splitting. A little tiny bit right there. This is it coming up. And it's going to split out here. I'm not an expert on vascular neurology, vascular imaging, and this is the kind of thing where you got to get a reader who's used to this particular MRI and this particular magnet. But I don't know. Oh, maybe right there. It's a little bit, that's the abnormality right there. It's a little bit enlarged. Okay, a little bit. It's a soft call. Let me put it that way. How old are you now?
Over the weekend, I'm 74.
Congratulations. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
What's the best thing in your life? What are you living for?
Oh, my family.
Yeah.
My husband, my kids, grandkids.
And you have a grandson, is that right?
Yes, I do. I have more than one. I have three grandsons and three granddaughters.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, how blessed are you? So, are any of these people here in Phoenix? Do they keep you busy? What do you do physically?
I love to go shopping more than anything. Um, and I have fallen a lot in the last year or so. So, because of that balance issue, so I don't do as much as I would like to, because of that. So, and sometimes I use a cane, and if I'm really bad, I use a walker. But, yeah, because of the pandemic, obviously everybody was at home, and that kind of made everything so much worse.
Yeah,
And
the
yeah,
the
so
pandemic did a number on shopping, didn't it?
yes, it really did.
And then it raised the prices afterwards. It's the gift that
Yes,
keeps on giving.
yes.
Um, I think, if you were 84, I would tell you I don't think it's worthwhile to go on and have the angiogram because the risk is very low, but there is some risk. At 74, I'm not sure it's the right decision, but I do trust your doctors. I do trust the Barrow, and it's one of the top vascular centers in the world,
Yeah.
and that can work in your favor, and it can work against you. It works in your favor if there's anything wrong, because we have doctors who are very experienced in it, whether you're having your hip replaced or your knee scoped or your brain aneurysm embolized. Experience is the key to practice makes perfect. So that can work in your favor. On the other hand, I do think sometimes when you don't have something, but we're trying to figure it out, having people who do this all the time can make them more aggressive than they normally might be. And so
Okay.
that can lead to over treatment or over studying. So
Okay.
your case is one in which you have to balance being overstudied versus the risk of missing something. I have a lot of confidence in them. I trust them as doctors. If you were my mom, I would say go right ahead, and let's listen to what they say. If they tell you you need the angiogram, then you should have it. If they tell you you don't, I would trust that too. I think Dr. Fechtel is brilliant, and he's really a fantastic neurologist. I would view him as kind of the quarterback in this. He's in your corner, and let him. If something seems like I don't know. I'm getting mixed messages. I'm not sure. He's the guy to sort it out with you. He's got a good relationship with you, and he's excellent. He's the right person to manage these problems. If you asked me if I was a betting man, and I am not. I don't bet on anything. I don't want to win and I sure don't want to lose. So I am not. But if I were, I think that you had a migraine back in August, and your biggest risk of having more vascular problems was in August and September and October and November. So you've already gone through the biggest risk period. So I think another way of looking at your situation right now is to say, you can't lose. If they want to do it, fine. Let's make sure for Christmas. You're not gonna be in that 1% or less. That's very, very 99% chance you're okay. If the odds were 99% that you would win the lottery, would you play?
Oh, yes.
Yes, ma'am, you would. I'm not a betting man, and I'd play that at lottery, right? So the odds are very good. The likelihood of a complication is very low. You may not need it anyway. And happy holidays. There is this little outside chance of there being something significant, and if it is, we want to find it and know about it and deal with it going forward. So I guess it kind of comes down to that. Are you comfortable with that approach? Or is this going to weigh on you 24/7 and ruin your holidays? How do you feel about it?
Oh no, I'm good with that because I changed insurance in anticipating that I would eventually go to Barrow and
Yeah. Yeah.
get an answer. And Dr. Dupre is who was recommended, and my primary care office sent all the information over to his office, and he said, yes, he would see me, except I didn't have the insurance
Right.
portion of it. So, so yeah, I feel really comfortable with anything, at Barrows. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
Well, you're in good shape. I think it's now it's just a question of eggnog or mistletoe. Just decide what's your favorite and go under it. But it's there's no. I don't think you can lose. You're in good shape. I just want to ask you one more thing. Will you let me know once you see him and what happens? Can we have another call? I'd love to find out what happens and what's going on with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All
And I
right.
have to say thank you so much for your time, expertise, and Phoebe is fantastic. I want to shout out to her. She has the patience of a saint.
Yeah. Shout out for sure. I couldn't agree with you more. All right, it was great to see you. And if you don't get in before the end of the year, then I'll talk to you next year. But either way, let me know what happens. I'm eager to find out.
Okay, I will definitely do that. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
dear. Happy holidays. Talk to you soon.
Happy holidays to you too. Thank you.
Bye. Wow, a lot going on in Maureen's head for this holiday season. She's such a sweet lady. I'm really sorry that her holidays have to be interrupted with this possible aneurysm problem. But she's doing the right thing, and I really admire her approach to it. Sometimes people get so overwhelmed with the stakes, the life or death stakes of problems like this, that it can be incapacitating. Not this lady. She's really hanging in there. She's making the right decisions. I really agree with the way she's going. Isn't this insurance stuff crazy? These insurance companies they're an essential part of our healthcare system, but the tail really is wagging the dog in this case, where the insurance is there to pay for it. We've got a really special situation where she can only go to one place in town pretty much, and that place isn't on her government insurance. I mean, it's just wacky. Well, that's nothing's perfect, and we got it. You got to play the hand you're dealt. And I like the way she's playing hers, getting into the insurance that she needs, and being calm and headed for the right thing. Well, happy holidays to you. Happy holidays to Maureen. And I'm looking forward to finding out in the new year. I'm thinking it'll probably be the new year, what's going on with that aneurysm. We'll fill you in when we know here at Best Practice. Happy holidays. If you have a question you would like answered on Best Practice Live, click the link to our website and complete the submission form. The more information you can give us, the better we can answer your question. So please contact us and we can walk you through uploading your imaging to a secure server. Please like and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with information about your spine and joint health.